Hey guys, so in this video I'm going to do something new. It's not my regular video, not the usual reaction video that I do. But this is about like tracing back the ancestry of the the Indian population. I've always been curious about like my ancestors, and there's this constant debate in India about the how North Indians and South Indians are different, and how the sometime back this Aryan Dravidian language divide, and then how the Aryans came from somewhere outside of India, and things like that. So I've always been interested in that, and then like there's a lot of a study going on in that area. And if you guys have seen, like recently there's been excavations in Kerala, and which like kind of proves the ancient Tamil texts, like as to how old the region is and the language is, like in general. So, but this is like the first time recently, I think, like around like a week or two back, there were like scientific, as in the official study, and then there's been some developments in this aspect. So and apparently the Aryan migration has been proven to be right, and it's not a myth anymore, based on what I read in this paper. This from this website. What is this website called? Scroll.in. So this says new genetic studies upheld Indo-Aryan migration. So Indian media report why did Indian media report that? So initially, I guess there was some confusion regarding this. So yeah, so there are a few terms that we need to keep in mind here. I'm just going to be like giving a brief idea of my understanding of what the study suggests. So we have like different terms here to first keep in mind. So one is like the ancestral North Indians, the ancestral South Indians, and mind that these ancestral North Indians are not the actual North Indians that we have, and neither are the ancestral South Indians. So based on what I understood so far, so like these are the different groups of people that were present at the time of this whole mix. So Indians apparently are a mix of like at least 4 to 5 different diverse ethnic groups, around 2000 years, or around 4000 years back, around maybe 3000 to 4000 years back, if I'm not wrong. So the groups involved are like, I'll tell you what will come to that. So this is my understanding of what would have happened. So okay, I'm going to use this thing. What is this thing? Okay, so I'm going to be using this highlighter. Okay, so the ancestral South Indians are the original the group that migrated out of Africa. I don't know, maybe around 4000 to 5000 years back. Say, let's say 5000, or not. I think it should be a lot earlier than that. So but because the mix itself happened, so these are the ones, the actual ones that we find in the Andaman islands. The tribe, the Andamanese tribe that we all know of. They are like the actual ancestors. They are like the closest to the actual ancestral South Indians. So So that is one thing. And then the ancestral North Indians, who are the ancestral North Indians? Okay, yeah, that is where we are. That is what we are going to explore. Okay, and there's another group of people that were here. Say, for example, in this area, they are called the Indus Valley Civilization people. Okay, and somewhere here is like the steppe people who arrived to India. And so okay, so from what I have understood, the ancestral South Indians are directly the migrants that directly came from Africa, and so they pretty much occupied this part of India, some part of India, when even the Indus Valley civilization was there. I believe, from what I understood based on what I read, I mean, the farmers, the Indus Valley people are a mix of Iranian farmers and ancestral South Indians. Okay. When I say Iranian farmers, I'm even talking about like even older than, I don't know. It's like 4,000, no, like 2000 BC. I'm older than 2000 BC. So you cannot like think of the current Iranians. What we have, these guys like are so old. Where I don't even know how they would have looked like. So these guys apparently, I mean, based on the article, they are not even sure if the Iranians brought farming to the Indus Valley. I mean, brought farming and then created the Indus Valley civilization, or they, after coming here, after the mix happened, these guys like invented farming or some. I'm not sure about that. So now we have Indus Valley civilization people who are the mix of ancient Iranians and ancestral South Indians. Let's call them ancient Iranians, not to mix. So once so this was all like flourishing at this, I'm talking about around 2000 BC. So around this time period, the Central Asian steppe pastoralists arrived to India. Okay, and arrived to India, and with them came all the Indo-European languages. So these guys brought with them Sanskrit and all the other Indo-European languages, like I don't know, like whatever language we speak here in India that are not Dravidian. So these guys brought them, and based on the study, they also think that the Indus Valley civilization should have been Dravidian. So either the language that they spoke were Proto-Dravidian. So this is my understanding. So this mix, these steppe pastoralists, these guys, they mixed with these guys to form the ancestral North Indians. Okay. So now current in and then after that, these guys, all of these guys mixed together, okay, to form the current Indian population. So around I believe maybe 1000 or to 500 BC, this mixing stopped, and that's when the caste systems were formed, I guess. Okay, so let's go ahead and read this article now. Maybe we'll get a better picture. Okay, so okay, so this is the map. Let's go ahead and let's before that let's look at the terms here. So this is the Central Asian steppe. Central Asian, so it stretches from, it's really far from Eastern Europe till I think almost throughout Asia. So how this looks like is this. So this basically this actually, like, immediately what comes to my mind is the Mongolian landscape. So it's like, yeah, something like this. We don't have trees, just grasslands, just vast, never-ending grasslands. So this is apparently where the Aryan, the so-called Aryans, Indo European language speakers came to India. And what steppe actually means is large area of flat unforested grassland in southeastern Europe or Siberia. So this is what it means. So let's go ahead and read the article. And in the article they have mentioned the route that they would have taken. So it says spread of steppe pastoralists and their descendants from the Eastern Europe to India. The arrow shows the most plausible route. So they are not like sure of the route that they must have taken. Okay, let's go ahead and read. Okay. Taken together, Indus studies painted a fascinating generic picture of how groups as diverse as local hunter-gatherers, Iranian farmers, and pastoralists from the Pontic steppe grasslands in Eastern Europe mixed to form most of the modern South Asian population. So this is what I mean. So the original group of people were the Iranian farmers and the steppe pastoralists, who are also called Yamnaya, which will check, which will come to shortly, and the Indus Valley people, and the ancestral South Indians. So, however, the question that, like, they were apparently worried about the gods, whether Ram existed or not. Let's not get into that. Let's not get into religion. I'm just like looking at it from a scientific and anthropological perspective. So the theory. So this is the current extent of the Indo-European language speakers in India. This part here, this is the Dravidian language speakers. So, and this article also mentions that this particular development as is against the Hindutva's imagination that Indians are indigenous, as in the people, the North Indians and South Indians, they are all from this country. They were born and like they are originally from this land. So which is clearly not the case as per this article. The Aryans were said to have introduced key elements of Indian culture such as the Sanskrit language, which gave rise to the Indo-Aryan branch of languages spoken all across North, West and East India today, as well as the Vedas, the foundational texts of Hinduism. So this is why these Hindutva guys are like holding on to this view that like it is Aryans are like indigenous. So, and then like the Nazis mistook that and blah blah blah. Let's not get into that. So and also there's one more thing, like these in steppe pastoralists brought horses to India. Before that, horses were not there, I guess. So, yeah. And Indo-European languages may have reached South Asia via Central Asia and Eastern Europe during the first half of 1000 BCs. So these guys, okay, let's proceed further. Okay, there's been some misunderstanding with the Indians who did the study. The Harappans, okay, there is one particular confusion about whether the Harappans were Vedic people or not. So this dude Shinde is of the opinion that the Harappans were Vedic people and Sanskrit language speakers. So he seems to think that Harappan civilization. He seems to think that there's this confusion. So what actually is going on is this guy thinks that the hold on. So this guy thinks that the Indus Valley civilization people, they were not Dravidians. They were instead Vedic language speakers, and they spoke Sanskrit. But this is not right, as the article clearly says. The steppe pastoralists who came from here, they brought the Indo-European languages, and clearly Sanskrit is an Indo-European language. Okay, let's we'll discuss that in detail. Okay, steppe ancestry is found in almost every group in India. This is because, as I said, in the current Indian population is a complete mix of all these groups, a diverse group that lived at one point in time. So okay, so what about the Shinde's conclusion that the people of Indus Valley civilization were the same as the Vedic people? Okay, so there's another dude, Vagish Narasimhan, who seems to disagree with this view. He says that this proposition makes jumps that I'm not comfortable with. Okay, let's see why. Okay, he doesn't. There's another dude, Niraj Rai, also. He says this is not my statement. I don't agree with these statements. So only Mr. Shinde seems to have that view. And another dude, Nick Patterson, he also seems to think that while I'm always willing to listen, I disagree with Dr. Shinde. So none of his colleagues seems to agree with what this dude says, Dr. Shinde. Okay, the study of the genetics of ancient humans using DNA to do the work of blah blah blah. Okay, let's see. Okay, researchers managed to extricate enough DNA from the ear bone of a woman who lived in Indus Valley civilization 4,500 years ago. So, this let's put some perspective here. Indus Valley people, so far it is 4,500 years ago. Okay, his DNA was analyzed on team for people 1,000 years across Central Asia, largest study. Okay, blah blah blah. Okay, the main building blocks at the time of the Bronze Age, around 4 millennia ago, are the ancient ancestral South Indians. Ancient ancestrals. Oh, okay. That's another term. Ancient ancestral South Indians. Okay, I believe what I explained earlier could be not exactly right. Okay, we'll Will correct whatever I mentioned earlier. So the picture, okay, the main building blocks at the time of the Bronze Age are the ancient ancestral South Indians, the people of the Indus Valley civilization, and a significant migration from the Pontic steppe. Okay, none of these people exist today, but it is the mixing that caused most of the Indian population to be formed. So it is basically ancient ancestral South Indians and people of Indus Valley civilization and from Pontic steppe. So this Iranian farmers, Indus Valley civilization, the people of Indus Valley civilization, migration from the. Okay, so let's see. Of these, the ancient ancestral South Indians are probably the least studied and were present across parts of subcontinent. Did not fall on the Indus Valley civilization. Okay, so the closest modern day relatives are the tribes of okay, here we go. So these guys are the Andamanis. These guys are not ancestral South Indians. I apologize for what I mentioned earlier. These guys are ancient ancestral South Indians. Okay. So, okay, fine. Thanks to the cell paper released on, okay, we know though the people of Indus Valley had no steppe DNA. So Indus Valley people, they mainly had a mixture of Iranian farmer related DNA as well as some DNA from ancient ancestral South Indians. Okay. So, okay, let's get back to this. Okay. So, these guys. So one group from Africa reaches India. They call ancient ancestral South Indians, and they also are the ones that go to that are currently present in Andaman. And there are people like from here, let's call them ancient Iranians. So these two group mix and then form the Indus Valley civilization. Okay, I hope I'm not wrong. So they mainly had a mixture of Iranian farmer related DNA as well as some DNA from the ancient ancestral. Okay, I guess I'm right. The steppe population came in from grasslands in Eastern Europe corresponding to modern day Ukraine, Russia, and Kazakhstan. The genetic research identifies that this steppe ancestry burst into India during a narrow time window between 2000 BC and 1500 BC. Okay, so these guys, so the mix had already happened and the civilization was flourishing around 2000 BC. And these guys were speaking Proto Dravidian. Okay, now come the steppe pastoralists from Central Asia, the so-called Aryans. Okay, let's go further what this says. Okay, let's have a look at this map. Maybe we'll get a better understanding. Where is that? Okay, I've saved the map. So these guys are the Yamnaya people, as you can see, an early split of Yamnaya, east to Altai Mountains, west to Europe. So these guys originally like started migrating from this particular part of the earth. So these guys started migrating around 3300 BC. So one group goes to Altai, and then one group goes to Western Europe, and one group goes to Eastern Europe, and one group comes to the Central Asia, and another group comes to India via Central Asia. So lineage deriving from a westward spread of the Yamnaya was plausibly the source of many Indo. So this is the reason why most of Europe speaks Indo-European languages, and most of Europe and Southern Europe as well. So as you can see here, the black part is the Yamnaya ancestry, and the white part is other ancestry. So these guys, around what time? Around 1000 BCE, they arrive to India, and by that time, ancestral North Indians and sorry, these guys arrive around 2000 BCE. Okay, let's study further in that. Okay, once these steppe people entered India, great churning ensued. They mixed with the Indus Valley people to create what is now called the ancestral North Indian grouping. Okay, so these guys, wait a minute, they mixed with the Indus Valley people. Okay, so these guys, these steppe so-called steppe Aryans, steppe pastoralists, they mixed with these people and then create the ancestral North Indian population. They don't even create the North Indian population, the ancient like ancestral North Indian population. So two things: the Iranian Indus Valley civilization were a mix of Iranian farmers and ancient ancestral South Indians, and the ancestral North Indians were actually a mix of the steppe pastoralists and the Indus Valley people. Okay, so let's dig further. However, a significant portion of the people of the Indus Valley civilization were pushed south when the steppe people entered. They then mixed with the ancient ancestral South Indians to form a group called as ancestral South Indian population. Okay, interesting. So these guys were the reason, the steppe pastoralists were the reason for the formation of ancestral North Indians as well. And because these guys migrated, these guys were pushed further, and then they mixed with these guys, ancient ancestral South Indians, to form ancestral South Indians. So this must have formed around 2000 BCE, okay, or BC, like so 4000 years from now, 4000 years ago. Okay, so okay, let's dig further. So for the next 2000 years, Indians mixed freely. So till 2000 years ago, around 180, like maybe 180 to maybe 180, these guys mixed freely. So the Indus Valley people civilization and ancient ancestral South Indians and ancestral South Indians and ancestral North Indians, and like everybody, these guys like mixed like anything for 2000 years. Imagine what would have happened, like completely lost all the racial features, and that's why we look so mixed today, starting from the north till the south. Like we have people of all colors, all I don't know, it's very difficult to pinpoint what a typical Indian looks like, right? So okay, however, this great churning stopped around 1900 years ago. That's what, around 100 AD, this mixing stopped, and then people started forming endogamous groups, and then the caste system was formed. So caste system did not exist till 100 AD based on this article. However, there is one thing: the Bengalis and the Mundas and Adivasi people of Eastern India have significant amounts of ancestry from Southeast Asia. So this cannot be explained. Okay, that is one thing that we need to think about. Okay, so how this explains more in India? So perhaps the biggest learning from this generic research is the various languages South Asians speak. It is clear that the movement of the people, blah, 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 blah. Okay, the main theory to which referring is a single language family, all the way from Bhutan to Bangladesh. Okay, who spread Indo-European language family across Eurasia. The same steppe pastoralists who are key constituents in making up the modern Indian population. In South Asia, the Indo-European family brought in steppe people. Okay, blah, blah, blah. Okay, the first Indo-Aryan language in South Asia was Vedic Sanskrit, the language of the Rig Veda. So these guys brought with them the Vedic Sanskrit, and a lot of people looks like used to speak that language at that time. Much of this steppe ancestry is male. This means that the steppe migrants were more successful at competing for local mates than men from local groups. Looks like females at that time were attracted to the steppe migrants more than they were attracted to the Indian the Indian population at that time. Okay, so explain the preponderance of this male bias is standard for Indo-European migration. In fact, okay, so Steppe almost completely displaced local males in a short time span, leading to coming of the Eastern Indo-Europeans must have been a kind of genocide. So almost, yeah. So okay, I was this ancient encounter is incredibly reflected even in the present day Hindu caste system. The steppe DNA correlated with upper caste status. Okay, so these guys. So what this means is, to this day, the people who consider themselves as upper caste, they have more of the steppe DNA than the ancestral South Indian DNA or ancestral ancient ancestral South Indian DNA or Indus Valley DNA, based on what this article says. So while this new genetic search backs up, okay, in this book pointed out the funeral sacrifices at Sintashta all the way showed starting parallels with the sacrificial funeral rituals of Rigveda. So it is clear. So it is they have similarities. The way they do sacrifices in the steppe region and what was mentioned in Rigveda. So clearly, these guys brought with them all their rituals and belief systems. Moreover, not only does the new generation explain the origin of Indo-Aryan languages of North India, it also seems to explain the Dravidian language family of South India, which it traces to Indus Valley civilization. A possible scenario combining is that Proto-Dravidian was spread by peoples of the Indus Valley civilization. So it clearly proves that these people, the Indus Valley civilization people, were the ones who spread the Proto-Dravidian language, which is currently Dravidian. Like I'm talking about Tamil, Malayalam, Kannada, Telugu, and a few other languages, Brahui, and other languages spoken in pockets of India here and there. So, okay, though much of India does not speak a Dravidian language, this does not mean the Indus Valley civilization has not been influential. Okay, Indus Valley is the single largest source of DNA for modern South Asia. Okay. Before the invention of farming. Okay, as for the Iranian component in the Indus Valley civilization DNA, it was found to be so old, and that's why I call them ancient Iranians, that it dates to before the invention of farming in the Fertile Crescent in the Middle East. This means that the Indians either invented farming on their own or learnt it via cultural contact with people out west. Interesting, right? What about Shinde's claim that the Indus Valley civilization was the same as the Vedic civilization without speaking Sanskrit? Okay, this is in fact an assertion that has long been made by many Hindutva supporters as a way to reclaim that the key cultural markers of modern Hinduism, such as Sanskrit or the Rig Veda, are completely indigenous origins, which is clearly not the case. However, there is little data to support this theory. Okay. In fact, the science paper points out that the former probably spoke a Dravidian language, while we know that the Vedic people spoke an Indo-European language, Sanskrit. Yeah. So this gap is further widened by the fact that there was no steppe DNA found in a Rakhigarhi woman, providing yet another data point in favor of Indo-Aryan migration. Okay, after all, steppe DNA and Indo-European language is highly correlated. So this is rather unlikely that the Rakhigarhi woman spoke an Indo-European language like Sanskrit. So what they are trying to say here is that they did some kind of analysis on a 5,000-year-old woman in from the Indus Valley civilization, and she did not have any steppe DNA, meaning the civilization is older than the steppe people, and that is why she didn't have steppe DNA. And because steppe people brought Indo-European language to India, she couldn't have spoken an Indo-European language like Sanskrit. So that is another way to prove that Indus Valley civilization is not Vedic. Okay, after all, steppe DNA Indus are highly correlated. Okay, rather than the Indus Valley civilization in the Aryans being the same, the genetic data points to the fact that later followed the former chronology as a result of steppe migration. Indus Valley and Aryans being the same, the genetic data points to the fact that later followed the former chronology as okay. The politics of it. This inquiry into the origin of Mauritius has set off hectic political debate in India. Okay, David Reich recounted the politics where, given the significant steppe ancestry in ancestral North Indian component, this group West Eurasians, a move that received a violent pushback from Reich's Indian collaborators who control the access to genetic material. Reich recounts these discussions as the tensest 24 hours. These guys wouldn't like truth hurts, truth hurts. At the time, I felt that. Okay, sorry about that. Let me. Okay, sorry about that. So this, yeah, truth hurts, as I said. So eventually, a nomenclatural solution was found. The names were chosen for two ancestral groups that seemed to suggest to the layman that they had solidly subcontinental origins. The earlier discussed ancestral North Indians and ancestral South Indians. Okay, so David Reich originally called this people, the ancestral North Indians, West Eurasians. Okay. Okay. So the ancestral North Indians are related to Europeans, Central Asians, Near Easterners, and people of the Caucasus. But with those 100% subcontinental names, we made no claim about the location of their homeland or any migrations. This is sad, man. This is sad. Truth hurts, man. So as you can see, these people, the ancestral North Indians, who are actually a mix of the steppe people and the Indus Valley people. Yeah. So yeah. Okay. And the ancestral. Okay, West Eurasians. Let's equal to steppe plus IVC. And ancestral South Indians, who are these? Ancient ancestral South Indians plus IVC. Okay. Okay. Why, while all people are interested in their origins, why do feelings in India are especially deep? But you know, cultural way to contrast India, it's Muslim majority. Twin Pakistan doesn't seem to care very much about. Okay, in Europe there is almost no emotionality at all about the ancient farmers or Bronze Age people. There's in fact no emotion about the dead. Okay, there is also a political. India is to dominate with the politics of Hindutva or Hindu nationalism ideology, which is fiercely nativist. Vinayak Savarkar, the founder of Hindutva and a foundational thinker of the ruling Bharatiya Janata Party, based his nationalism on nativism, arguing that for a true Indian, India had to be both his Pitrubhumi and Punyabhumi. So, which is clearly not the case. Hindutva, the people actually came from Steppe. Okay. A Hindu therefore could not be descended from alien invaders. Historian Ravinatha Price Hindutva saw the world. Sad man. Was covered by Madhav Golwalkar. Okay, Indus came into this land from nowhere, but are indigenous. Sad. Truth hurts. So there we go. That's what it is. So to summarize, I'll give you a picture. This time a clear picture. So first came the ancestral South Indians from Africa. Ancient ancestral South Indians from Africa. And then these ancient Iranians somehow mixed with these people to form the Indus Valley civilization. And while this was flourishing, this must have happened before. So this was flourishing. Okay, let's not get into that. So around 2000 BC. So the Steppe Pastoralists, they reach India. Okay. And then they mix with the Indus Valley civilization people. So this gives rise to ancestral North Indians. And these guys, because they migrated, they push these dudes towards the south, and then they mix with these people to form the ancestral South Indians. Okay. And then for 2000 years, all of these people mix. Around 100 AD, the mixing stops and caste system was formed. So currently, who can own like India? I don't know, because we are all a mix. But if at all anyone can own India, are the ones who have not even Indus Valley civilization India. So like if you have if you have less of Steppe DNA and more of like IVC DNA or ancient ancestral South Indian DNA or ancestral South Indian DNA, maybe you can call yourself a native indigenous. Definitely not the people who have the majority of Steppe DNA and who speak Indo-European language. Indo-European language is not native to India. Dravidian is native to India. So there we go. That is that is what I feel it should be. Although I don't. Um, I don't have anything against North Indians or South Indians or anyone like in this group, but nobody has a right to own India as their own and ask people to go to Pakistan or that's what you know what I mean, right? So yeah, thanks a lot for watching, guys. This is JDP. I hope, like, if you have any comments, let me know if I've made any mistake, if my understanding is not right, or watches this video, please leave a comment, and I'm open to criticism, and I would really genuinely like to know what would have happened, and because I'm really interested in anthropology, cultural anthropology, and different cultures, mixing of people, and these migration patterns and everything, like languages. This is something that really interests me a lot. So thanks a lot once again for watching. Bye bye. This is JDP.